Hi, welcome to the Caregiver Lifeline Summit Fall 2022. My special guest today is Alan Tarr, who will be talking about what you can do after caregiving ceases. And before I formally introduce Alan, I'm going to give you some background information about him. Alan Tarr is the founder and chief content writer or officer to Write Copy by Write Like a Madman University, and he loves to write. Alan trained at a top 5 Madison Avenue ad agency, writing copy for large international corporations like Nissan, right down to the local bakery. Mostly, though, he spent 35 years writing dynamic marketing and conversion copy for clients large and small. Since 2002, Alan worked with, trained or coached over 3,100 budding copywriters and business nonprofit leaders in the techniques and secrets of the world's best copywriters. So, welcome to the Caregiver Lifeline Summit, Alan. This is amazing. So, first of all, let's talk about how you got into copywriting and how caregivers might consider that when their caregiving duties cease.
Well, I think how I got into it is a lot different than in time and space than anybody else in your organization. However, it really is the same thing. I fell into it. I was in first year of college. I was a dramatic art major.
Okay.
And as such, we put on shows and also some other just things for the college itself. Okay. And a professor was judging a contest of skits and other things, sort of like a Saturday Night Live. And we happened to win. My group happened to win. And he came over to me and he says, I understand you wrote that. I said, yeah, I'm sorry, but yes, I did. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm, in drama and musical comedy. He says, you don't look like Paul Newman. I said, I don't. He says, they got plenty of Paul Newmans, but we don't have enough writers. Would you like to come to my class and start my class for the next semester? What's your class? Said, writing for commercial purposes. I said, okay. Is it easier than physics? He said, yes. I said, I'm in. That was the tune that changed my life. I went to his class. Our school was a little different, a business school, a little bit different. We had to take 4 semesters of paid internship before we could graduate. Wow. So he sent me down to the 5th largest ad agency in the world on Madison Avenue. We were located in New York City. So it wasn't, quick hop, skip, and a jump, and I'm there. And the guy said, blah, blah, blah. He asked me 3 questions. He says, I got 2 important questions. Did Tom Killerman send you here? I said, absolutely. He says, okay, will you work for $4 an hour? I said, absolutely. He says, you're hired.
That sounds like an easy interview.
It was easy. They were friends. And then that gentleman, Steve Katkin, he sent me down the block, literally down the block. I talked to one of the producers of the Merv Griffin show, because I mentioned I write comedy stuff. And so he sent me down there the next day. I went in with some of my stuff, and they put me on as a paid correspondent. That's somebody who just sends them stuff, and if they use it, they give you $25. So I got in that. I got in that way, and for a couple of years, I was just working as an intern, writing, and finally, they allowed me to write my own things that weren't under the auspices of somebody else looking over my shoulder, because I got the nickname Rewrite It. There, rewrite it.
Mm,
I finally got the idea of how copywriting worked. I got my first, I call it a gig, the first solo gig to write for a dog food. I needed 50 to 300 words for Time magazine. So I wrote it.
mhm.
I handed it in on a Monday, and I asked my boss, to comment on it. He says, no, not today. I'm going to take it home and read it. So next day, I'm, freshly minted guy. So I just said, did you read it? He said, no. Wednesday, did you read it? No. Thursday, he said, I'll do it on the weekend. Leave me alone. So he came in on Monday and he said, I read it. I said, really?
Mm.
Wonderful. What did you think? He said, well, I read it 4 times. My wife read it 3 times. And we thought it was the funniest take and most interesting take on a dog food we'd ever read. I said, we're going to run it? He said, not on your life. It stinks. I go, what are you talking about? He said, I gave my 11-year-old daughter,
Mhm.
understand a word you wrote. You write this until she does. And there was my first and most important lesson. You write to a certain audience, and in a general population, if you're writing to,
Mm.
you write to what they call is a fairly bright 11-year-old. That's the level you write at. If you're writing for attorneys, you have to write at a different level. But that's the first lesson I learned, and it's the one that stuck with me the most. You're writing not for you.
Right.
You're writing for the people you are addressing. And caregivers
Mhm.
are doing things not for themselves, but they're doing it for the people they're caring for.
Yes.
So the transition between writing for something and doing something probably isn't that great. So
Mm.
any caregiver that likes to write might be able to find a I think I froze out. What happened?
I don't know. I just see your picture.
There we go. I'm sorry. We can edit that out, I hope.
Of course we can. We can do magic.
Yeah,
Phil
but
and his wife Joyce.
that's the same thing. If they can get a work from home, work
Mhm.
from anywhere, literally,
Right.
secondary gig that
Mhm.
they could start to cultivate even while they're giving the care, because it doesn't take a long time. If that's their bent. If they hate writing, well, then they're going to have to do something else. But what you got me here for is to talk about how you can transition into the job market or your own business or into the half-time part-time gig
Mhm.
using one of the 2 most desired skills that the companies and the hirers
Mhm.
are looking for, and that is writing and oral skills.
Mm.
The other one is technical competence. And then they don't really match, because I'm a writer and I cannot tech. I mean, I just can't do it. Writers can write, techies can tech, and they don't cross. But that's just something they might want to think about, because they can do it at any time of the day when a thought
Mm.
in your mind. If you want to tell a story, if you want to pick up a commission for writing for somebody who can't write for themselves, which is 95% of the population, you might want to
Mm.
study it, and so that you can go in there with a plan and a template. And that's one of the things I do. I write for people, and I write for people who are learning to write.
Okay. All right,
So I
so
got two
let's
things
just
in there.
say I'm new. I'm a caregiver, a
Right.
former caregiver. And I want to write. So do I start journaling first, or
There's
how do I get started?
many ways, but I would think the first thing is the simplest. And that is, if you're on social media
Mhm,
or if you do emails,
mhm,
just start corresponding with your friends
mm, okay.
and tell them a short story. Doesn't have to, what I did today, it made me so happy. Or something that I have here was a real challenge. Does anybody else have such a challenge? Um, can anybody find a solution for this problem I have? Or, hey, I just like to keep everybody up on what's going on in my life. Like
Mm, mhm,
I last week or the week before when I told everybody I just adopted a rescue dog, as you know. So
mhm,
you start by small. You start
okay.
with your friends. You start with people who won't hit you over the head because you wrote something strange, and you just keep on writing, and then you learn how to write for whichever kind of writing you like. For instance, if you like to do stories, short
Mhm,
stories, even novels, uh, you
mhm,
writing in a different genre than a copywriter. All right,
okay.
I copywriters are people who write. How can I say this exactly? Stories are descriptive. Copywriting is informative.
Mm, okay.
Stories are imagination based.
Mm,
Copywriting is fact based. So if you like to, for instance, and during this season, I don't want to get anybody's hackle stuff, but if you like to discuss politics during an election season, you might want to try that with friends of yours and
mhm,
write back and forth and saying, well, this is what I think about this particular thing, and do it very factual, you're not yelling, you're whispering.
mm,
So I'm
I
whispering
like
to you
that.
that I like, this is the way I see things. And I was wondering if you agreed with that. And you want to make the agreement as easy as possible.
Okay.
You, you know,
Mhm,
you really just want to say, for instance, in my little town here, right? Do you want to fix more of the potholes? Yes or no?
mhm.
Answer is sure would like the one in front of my house fixed. Because
Exactly.
I keep going over the driveway right into that little hole. So
Mhm.
you do that, and they did it.
Mm,
2 days, boom, done. Just
wow.
as I asked them to. So
Nice.
get a lot done. If you just say, I have a problem, you can solve it, would you please?
I like that approach.
Copywriters write it a little backwards sometimes. You have a problem. I have the solution if you'd like to listen about it.
Mm, okay.
Okay, because we all have problems, right? Uh,
Yes.
we want to lose weight, like I need to, right? Yeah. No, we want to lose weight. We want to look fantastic. We want to save money. We want to make our money last. We want to grow our money. We want we want to have our house really look good, our lawn, our tree, whatever it is. We're
Mhm.
looking for the solution to the problem we have. And that's why we look at advertising.
Okay. I
So
think I'm getting this now.
copywriting, it
Mhm.
go hand in hand. And it's just anybody who can do it is doing very well. Um, you asked me in the beginning, when you sent me a note, uh, if I had any information to give out, and you'll probably do that at the end, but I have a 29-page report that they could get on freelance copywriting.
Mm,
Something else that I sent you, which skips my mind uh, right now. But if you have websites, if you have anything else that you work on, do do yours. Even if
Mhm.
the website is, you know, how I keep my lawn in such fantastic shape.
Wow, that's a good one. Um, a great topic to think about. You mentioned you also have a free infographic, the 5 highly prized qualities of an
Ah,
indispensable person. So,
absolutely.
yes, I think using those 2 free offers would provide a good framework for caregivers to start building their career, like, or if that's what they choose, or if they choose to freelance.
Well, whatever they want. It depends, the age and things like that.
Mhm.
Um, but I know my wife has been going a little bit fragile just because her mother is a caregiver. At 89 years old,
Oh my gosh.
for a 92-year-old, Kathleen's 92-year-old stepfather who has
Mm,
Parkinson's and a couple of other issues.
mm,
Comes over twice a week, and she becomes a caregiver too.
mhm.
And believe it or not, I got her on in my program, and she's learning to write. And she said, "You know what? It's easier for me now on my job because I'm writing better."
Wow,
See, in the
that's a great accommodation to you.
yeah, we had a long survey. I mean, it was not us, but whether it was Gallup or whether it was one of the others, I don't remember. But the 2 most desired qualities of an employee is, or the skills, is technical competence and oral and written communication skills. Under
Mhm.
those, a long way down is, hey, will they show up for work? Are
Right.
they a team player? Do they swipe lunch out of the fridges from other people? No, it's those 2 things. And anybody who can learn one of those things is going to have a foot up, definitely up 1 rung or 2 rungs of the ladder, if they're
Mm,
going to go for a job, or whether they're going to go for a part-time gig, uh,
mhm,
or whether they're going to try to make it on their own as a freelance writer, as I did after
mhm,
my tenure at the advertising agencies. I just wrote for everybody. I wrote for our all competitors, and
mm.
so it was fun, and still is.
I can see the passion. Excuse me.
It's the only job I ever had that I didn't have to work at.
Wow. Well,
Literally
that sounds amazing.
pay me to make to just put down their words in a better format. I asked the person,
Okay.
what
Sounds
makes
easy enough.
what makes you unique? And if you pull it out of them, why should people do business with you instead of your competitor down the street? And they tell you, you just
Mm,
hear what's in their head and what's in their heart and put it in the right format using the right templates, and
mhm.
that person is going to succeed. Ergo, you are going to succeed as a writer. And the more successes you pile up, your reward is your fee goes up and up and up. So, and people just get a kick out of it. They really do. Those who do it and do it well, obviously.
So let's say I start writing like your mother-in-law. Um, what,
No. It was my wife who's starting the writing. Her mother-in-law is 80. My mother-in-law is 89.
oh, okay.
She doesn't
Okay.
have the
I'm
time.
sorry.
She doesn't have the
Misunderstood.
time to cook dinner.
Yeah, I understand totally about those caregiving responsibilities. So, all right, so we start writing like what, in a notebook, in a journal? Does it matter? Um,
It really doesn't, but it's always best in my opinion. And
Okay.
everything I say, by the way, is in my opinion, because nobody has this nailed. It's
Mhm.
not science. It's a science combined with an art.
Mm.
But I would always write so that someone else could read it. Because if you wrote in a diary or a journal, it's for your benefit. And you're not looking for somebody to read it. But if you're writing emails to your friends, if
Okay.
you're writing little letters, like the Christmas letter, the ubiquitous Christmas letter you get.
Right.
Oh, look, little Johnny is now 35. and now you got little Johnny Jr.
Hmm.
They go from one page, now they're up to 10 pages. At least
Okay. I see.
it's what I'm thinking of. But you have to write for somebody to read it. Writing for yourself doesn't make you a writer, it makes you a thinker. You got to
Okay.
get the thinking into writing, and then when somebody accepts your premises and wants to dialogue with you, then you have created an engagement, and that's exactly what copywriting is for. It's to
Mm.
inform, and it's to motivate, it's to incentivize, it's all those things, but it's not to order or tell.
Okay. So we start out writing emails or like Christmas letters.
Does it
When
does your church, if you go to church, does it have a newsletter?
uh
Most
yes.
do, and they solicit
Yes.
articles. And by articles, we're talking usually 300 to 500 words.
Hmm.
Write something, write a column, write what you do best, like make rum cheesecake.
Like Alan
Yes,
here.
I have a little character flaw. I throw rum in my cheesecake. So, but
Yes, anyway, we will get the recipe a little later. That
yeah,
so okay, so we start doing emails, new Christmas letters, and then columns in a church bulletin. When should a caregiver possibly look at courses, or should, or in order to like submit them so they could start a freelance career, or
okay.
however they
I'll
choose
give
to
you
use?
a timeline if I can.
Sure, that would be helpful.
First of all, don't spend a dime
Okay.
in the beginning. I don't care what they say. I don't care what I say. All right. And I sell courses. This is one of my businesses. I have 8 copywriting marketing courses, toolboxes. What is it? 310 plus educational experiences, multi media.
Mm-hmm.
Don't buy it. Go to the free stuff first. I have a blog on my website, copywritingdoneforyou.com.
Okay.
There are 90 plus articles on marketing and copywriting. Some of them might amuse you, some of them might inspire you, some of them you might think I'm an idiot. It's okay. Everybody has their opinion. I would like you to see you get that kind of stuff from people like me,
Mm.
uh, because we give it out free. And when
Mm.
you read the articles, if you're interested, a lot of them, I would say 75, 80% of them, have links to another free thing that you could download
Okay. I
as
like that.
a sort of a bonus to what you're reading, to go a little deeper into what you're doing. Once you've gotten that, in your mind, which, I don't know how fast you could do it, a couple of months, a couple of weeks, depends how assiduously you want to work. Then you might start to sort out some courses. And Once you get those courses, you will have them and you will have all the information for the rest of your career or business life or general life. Indeed, anything that you write, you'll be able to go back, say, I need to write a press release for our church building fund. You go to things that says how to write a press release. Here's the 15 steps. Template. You fill in the words. We've given you the structure.
Nice. I like that.
All right. How many people have
Yes.
their own websites? Many, many. There are hundreds of millions of websites, and only about a quarter of 1% ever make it to the top. But the idea is you share with your friends and your contacts your website. Now you're sharing with them and their websites. Now you're interacting, you're engaging, and
Right.
it's actually much better than social media, in my opinion, because they are already your friends.
Yes.
They are already
Exactly.
people who know you and you know them, and that's the most important thing. If somebody comes up to you and says, I got a guy who can do this for you. Oh yeah, how well do you know him? Is he a friend? Oh no, I just heard of him. No, thank you, no. But I have a friend who's done work for me around the house. I would like to recommend him to you in case you need a handyman. That's important. Your
Yes.
experience coupled with their need is very important. That's why the Google people have such luck with their reviews. You know,
Because yes, they want to make that experience easy.
yeah, they want to say people appreciate what you've done and they're giving you a good review.
Yes.
No matter what it is, whether it's selling something, whether it's preaching something, whether it's just a neighborhood deal. You know, we like this. I'm glad they're doing this. That's a great review. That's a 5-star. So you start any which way you want.
Okay.
Even start on writing articles for how to. I discovered this worked, for instance, with a Parkinson's patient.
Okay.
Again, Kathleen's stepfather.
Yes.
All right. He couldn't get around, neuropathy, this and that. Couldn't even get out of his seat. We bought a used booster seat that lifts him out. And now he doesn't have to call to get help. And he feels better.
Yes.
Because he's more independent. He can go to the TV, he can go into the bedroom, he can go to the bathroom, no problem. But before, he had to wait for somebody to lift him out. And since his wife weighs about 95 pounds and she's 89 years old, she wasn't going to lift a 190-pound guy.
No, that would be
So you see
a little bit tricky.
And we found out that these things existed. We found a used one. Boom, it's done. So
I like the idea of just starting very simply. And then if you're getting feedback about how you're writing and
that's one
how
thing.
it makes other people think, or it just gives them some really clear information, like you said, very detailed.
I can give them the most easy information in the world right here. When you write, no matter what you write, unless you're a novelist, and God, that's a different kettle of fish. Okay. You write, your primary goal is clarity. You must be clear. If they don't understand you, they tune you out.
Right.
All right. 2, you have to write conversationally. You're not a professor or an English teacher. You're a friend, as if you were sitting across the kitchen table from me telling me something. All right?
Mhm.
And you have to write concisely. Stop using most amateur writers, or even just people, they just keep going on and on and on and on until you're just ready to scream.
Mhm.
I write in what I call thought bites.
Okay.
I'm going to tell everybody what a thought bite is now. A thought bite is a 3-part message from me to you, usually as part of a number of thought bites.
Okay.
This is how you limit yourself. Each section or each thought bite is one concept, no more than one.
Mm. Okay.
You start with one sentence. It's an introduction sentence. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Or here's something that's going to really make you happy. Or you make a nice headline to make them curious. Then you take the next paragraph or bullet points, be it 3, 4, or 5 sentences tops, and you lay out what you want to say. That's why bullet points are so good for a starting writer. Even for me, I use bullet points all the time. And then finally, a sentence at the bottom summarizing either what you just told them or what to look for next. If you as part of the thing. That is a thought bite. If everybody can figure that out. I wrote an article or a guide once, it's still there in my university, but it's called How Do You Eat an Elephant? One bite at a time. How do you correspond with people or communicate? One thought bite at a time.
Okay. Yes.
And that's where it is. And if there's any advice I could give, that is the most crucial advice. The 3 C's, clarity, conciseness, and conversational language, and thought bites. Limit yourself. And will enjoy reading you more, because now you're not rambling on like a buffoon like most people do. Like the 10-page Christmas letter could really be 4 pages. If I wrote it, it would be 4 pages.
I'm sure that you are very concise.
I'm very concise.
I find it hard going from writing technically as a speech language pathologist to writing concisely for the people that I want to connect with. It's a challenge.
It may be, but if you look at your technical writing, let's just say you've done 20 pages on a particular subject. If you go back and you might realize that there are, in those 20 pages, 30 concepts. Each concept deserves its own thought bite.
Okay.
And between the thought bites, you put what we call a crosshead, which is not, it's not a heading or something. It breaks up the thought bites and tells the people what's coming now.
Okay.
So they look at the page that you're giving them. If the page is solid type, your chances of being read and understood are very much smaller than if it's broken up into sections with little headings over each section, done when you get really good at it, where you read the headings, cross headings, and you really know what they're talking about right there. Then you go back and fill in the information.
Wow. I never looked at it that way, but that does make a lot of sense. So if I'm talking about articulation and how a student's doing with his or her speech sounds, I can have that one heading, and then a heading for language where I can do a language sample or some testing and explain that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
One concept, one thought bite.
Right.
Sometimes you have to break your concepts into 3 or 4 thought bites.
Right. Okay.
Done the way you want, but that's the challenge. And now you have simple reading, simple reading, simple reading, even if it's technical.
Oh, I like that.
Even PhDs appreciate that. You can use bigger words with PhDs, but you can't give them solid pages after solid pages, because I have let me just say, I don't get to sleep very often. But when I'm really tired, when I really need to go to sleep, I dig out an old chemistry textbook. I hold it up in my hands, and my eyes go down the page, and by the time I've reached the bottom, it is so boring. And my eyes have gone from here to here, and I'm going to sleep. I literally fall asleep right on my chest.
Well, that's one way of falling asleep. Thank you for that option.
Well, just remember, I was not a science guy. And but if you do try that thought bike thing,
Okay.
I'm going to send you something just between you and I, and we'll just it'll explain it more. Then you'll be able to explain it to other people.
Okay. No, I would love that. This has been really enlightening to think of an activity that you may want to choose to do while you're still caregiving, and then later after your caregiving ceases. So this does seem like a very plausible activity to engage in if you're starting it in the manner that you've just discussed. So besides the sound bites and breaking it up, are there 3 takeaways, Alan, that you can provide caregivers to get started?
Yeah, I would say the same thing that every writer gets from somebody else. Write about what you know. That's
Okay.
number one. So you're doing caregiving, write about that. Write about what works, what doesn't work, where you're having your biggest frustrations, where you're having your greatest successes. Write about that, and then other people who are in the caregiving field, when they have that on top of their mind, they'll be more receptive, and then you'll be starting with a warm audience rather than a cold audience.
Yes, definitely. That makes a lot of
And then
sense.
the other thing is clear, concise, and conversational. One of the most, I guess he's one of the most people in this country ever, our history, who's ever achieved as much as he had. He was a president of the United States and the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, William Howard Taft.
Wow.
Well, here's what William Howard Taft had to say. Don't write so you can be understood. Write so you cannot be misunderstood. Big,
Oh, that's powerful.
big blanking difference.
Definitely.
Use words that have universal understanding of their meaning, rather than words that could be construed 2 or 3 ways.
Right. Yes, you don't want to confuse the mind.
Confused minds don't go forward.
Right. Exactly.
So that's what I would say. And if they want that, they can sign up for it at the links I gave you.
Okay.
And I'll get some stuff to you in the next day or so.
No, that would be great. I just want to have you again tell the audience about your free offers.
Okay, I got to remember them. One was a 29-page how to make real money as a freelance copywriter. And I put it together using real sources of information.
Okay.
Just to give you an example of things that we found out, 52% of copywriters are female, 48% are male. They are broken down very, very, what's the word? Symmetrically between the age groups, the Gen Xers and the baby boomers, which are moving out because I'm a baby, one of the first baby boomers, right? I'm a baby boomer there, and but as people go in, the new generation comes in, they go in, they do more and more because they want to do more and more at home, more and more working wherever they want to, and what hours they want to. I mean, you want me at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? I'm napping. No, thank you. I started out my life in nightclubs, and I would work 8 till 1, 8 till 2. So I could go right to school, start my day, and then go to where I live and just crashed out. Then I get up and do it all over again.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I could do that for very long.
Yeah, I'm a night owl. But that's it's so simple for that. And there's the other one is, especially if you have a job, or you are going to be getting back into the workplace with a salary type job. And if you are in the, if you're in the office milieu, you know that they're woefully short on decent communicators. So that's the second thing they look for. That's those, what skills will make you indispensable.
Okay.
And this is one of the two. This is one of the two biggest, oral and written communication.
I think it makes a lot of great sense, and it interconnects so well. I like that. So you have those 2 free offers, and then if somebody would like to continue to work with you, you have some online classes that we will post.
Yes, I do. I have 2 websites, but I would suggest first they go to the website to look at the free stuff.
Okay.
Then, if they wish to contact me, I have a rule in my business. Okay. Advice is always free. Work always comes with a charge.
Yes.
So if you're just asking me a question, I'm going to give you an answer.
Okay.
Do this, do that. You say, write it for me. I'm going to go, no. No, that's a paid part. So, yeah, one of the websites is www, obviously, copywriting done for you, with the 4 as a 4 and the U as a U.
Okay.
.com. And the other is how to write copy.com.
Okay. I love it.
They can just put in one word, Alan Tarr, ALANTARR.com, and it'll get you to one of those because it's forwarded.
Oh, okay, great. Wow, Alan, thank you so much for being here and discussing options that caregivers can have while they're still caregiving, or when their caregiving ceases. So I really appreciate you taking time today and offering great offers for our listeners. And I hope people start taking up your advice and contacting you so they can get you.
Yeah, whether they're starting a business, going for a job, or want to be a copywriter, that's what I can help them do, and that's it. That's my limit of my expertise.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here. I think that, caregivers need to have some options to consider while they're caregiving and when they're not. So thank you again, Alan.
Thank you, Elaine. I really do appreciate you asking.